What are you doing? What are you doing? What do you think, partner? What are you thinking? Come here. What do you think? Well, I can't get to the shit no more. What am I supposed to eat? Your feed, partner. You eat your feed. I will jump in there, and one day you'll come out, and I'll be stuck in there. You'll be crying like, I'm stuffed. Get me out. Okay, that's disgusting, Peanut. Don't eat shit. Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan. Is that a question? So as many of you guys know, I use a composting toilet. I have a bunch of these blue buckets. This one is not one that I use currently. It sure looks good though. Looks like one I could use. I used to have like 4 or 5 of them, and then I realized like, oh, they're cheap. I can just get a bunch more. So I ended up with like way too many. And that's a bad thing because then I get lazy about emptying them, and I'm like, oh, I'll just grab another bucket. And then I end up with like too many buckets full of stuff that I don't want to dump them because it's just too much of a task to do. Audio? The audio is really flaky right now. So when I moved onto this property 3 years ago, I took a piece of fencing and I made a ring out of it and just put it directly on the ground. And then I've just been taking the buckets and dumping them into there. It's kind of amazing that this thing is never filled. I think it ends up breaking down a lot, and it kind of like comes out the sides, and the chickens come over and scratch at it. But there's some problems with this, and I want to make more of a solid one so I can take the bucket and hit it on it, and then also want to just cover it up completely, the sides, make it solid all the way around so it's not visually disgusting. Because my neighbor did come over one day and did say something about it, but I mean, I don't really give a shit. So typically I've got my buckets just sitting on my deck. Oh, I know. The ladies love it. They come over and they're like, ooh, that comment's gonna get me in trouble. So in today's video, I'm gonna make something a little bit more permanent for that. Yeah. So I got those 2 pallets, and then I've got 2 sheets of plywood. I'm gonna plywood 2 of those pallets, and then I'm just gonna take 2 more sheets, 2 more pieces of plywood, and put them on the sides and connect them together to make a box. So I just got some galvanized ring shanks. You can use any. To give this thing a little bit more life, I'm gonna wrap the inside of it with some Tyvek paper. Not sure if it's a good idea, but you know, I think it is. I mean, I'm good at what I do. I don't know about you. I get shit done. Looks good to me. Peanut! How did Peanut die? Well, she was kicked very hard by a horse. I mean, this is redneck ingenuity at its finest, but it's twerking. Last thing I need to do is put a 2x6 across the top here. One problem I had when I had the metal ring is that I'd have to take the bucket and I'd hit it against the tree to get literally the shit out of it. So I want something right on top that I can just bang and it'll fall. And put a roof on it too, maybe. So I think it's gonna work pretty well. I'm gonna clean this edge up a little bit, maybe get a 2x across there, maybe. I say it, but I probably won't do it. As long as it holds together and doesn't fall apart and shit goes everywhere. But if that system worked. This system I think is going to be a little bit better. Probably going to build some type of roof on top of it because, well, sometimes shit stinks. So, you know, I'm not going to show you this. I'd like to grab some of that and show it to you, but originally when I first started using a composting toilet, I would get a bag of peat moss from a big box store and, you know, cover it on top. Peat moss is extremely dusty, and what it did was it put a brown blackish film on everything in the house. My landlords, of course, have horses, and there's horse stalls, and then we used to put down these big wood chips that they would buy in a big bag. But I lived pretty close to a couple sawmills, and they have sawdust, and so they were ordering dump truck loads of sawdust. And one day I ran out of peat moss, and I needed to cover it because it was pretty bad, you know, not good. So I went out there and got a bucket full of sawdust, and I was using that, and it worked just as good as the peat moss did. I know there's different things you can use, corn husks and, no, that coconut husks, that's what I wanted to say. But the sawdust, it's free, relatively free. I mean, it's not free for them, but I think it's $130 for a huge dump truck load, which would literally last you like 2 or 3 years. If you have it, you can grab it. And I use it, man, that smells f***ing god awful. Lord, please say a prayer for this one. I need to build a roof. Oh god damn, that stank like a mother. But I have found that sawdust it works great, and I would recommend using that instead of peat moss, because peat moss is over harvested and going extinct. These are incorrect words that I say. So as far as the old one goes, I'm gonna let that sit there for 2 years, maybe at least a year. And then I'll pull the ring, and I'll probably just take all this stuff and spread it out through here. This is kind of my neighbor's backyard, and I put a 4-wheel track in here for the kids to drive their 4-wheeler on it. And you know, that's one concern my neighbor had with it, was that this was in his kid's backyard. They're gonna play near it, which they're just driving by it. So I'm gonna let that just sit, ferment for a long time. By then, everything's gonna be killed and dead, and it shouldn't be too bad. A lot of people say this is a fertilizer. I wouldn't recommend using it on edible foods that you would eat. You know, people put it underneath trees. One type of fertilizer bucket that I wanted to show you guys is this one right here. My landlords had this in their backyard, and they were putting pretty much everything into it. And when I got it, I literally filled it up. I haven't opened this in a long time. It looks great. I literally filled that up in 3 or 4 months, and it didn't decompose as well. I mean, now it absolutely looks great. But there's other stuff in there that was not decomposable. I'll eventually clean this up and put it back up there so they can use it for their produce and compost stuff. You know what I mean? Not the shit, literally shit. I have seen these plastic ones, but they're kind of like a cone, and the bottom of the cone is cut out, and there's a screw top on the top. You fill it up. Once it's full, you put the lid on it, and it just sits there, and then you leave it there for about a year, and then once it's done cooking, you lift it up, and the bottom, there's no bottom on it, so it just falls out like that, and you put the cone somewhere else, and you can refill it. I think that by far is the best composting bin I've ever seen. I think it's a great idea because you can move it, you can reuse it, it'll last forever. Well, shit. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel and you like this kind of content, make sure you hit the subscribe. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up. If you want to, you know, let me know what you thought, please leave it down in the comment section. I know I told you guys a few weeks ago, probably a couple months ago, I told you to leave anything down below. Please do that. That, for some reason, helped the channel out significantly. I probably had 75 new subscribers just in those like 4 or 5 days that I've seen the analytics on it. So, good. Leave some nonsense comments. There's a bug on my lens. Leave anything there. Just throw something down in there. Some of them went to spam, but I approved them because, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P is a comment. It's not spam. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.